Go get them, President Trump. Reduce that spending. We're behind you 1,000%. Well, he has. He has. 0.1% he's asking us to reduce. And I'm not saying senators shouldn't ask questions and make some changes if they need to be made, but here's the bottom line. It is gut check time. It is gut check time. You either believe in reducing spending or you don't. We're giving $3,600,000 to Haiti for pastry cooking classes, for cyber cafes, for dance focus groups, for male prostitutes. The president's saying, I don't think so. I don't think that the American people support giving their hard-earned money to male prostitutes in Haiti. So he's asking us to cut it out. He's asking us to reduce the budget by $833,000 because some of President Biden's bureaucrats gave a contract to transgender people, sex workers, and their clients in Nepal. That's why I call it spending porn. Triggers your gag reflex. You look at this stuff and you go, what in God's name? Who decided to do this?
This was one of those rare Senate moments that just freezes the entire chamber. Silence, heavy, thick, and then Senator John Kennedy did what no Democrat in that room saw coming. He grabbed a political sledgehammer and swung it straight at Chuck Schumer and the whole bloated Bideneerist spending monster, standing 100% behind President Trump's call to finally gut the wasteful government fat. With a scorching, ice-cold rebuke, Kennedy lit up billions wasted overseas on the most bizarre, indefensible projects you can imagine. Pastry classes in Haiti, insect powder in Madagascar, even taxpayer cash flowing to sex worker programs abroad. While right here at home, American families are choosing between groceries and gas. Tonight, we're tearing into this straight fire moment when Kennedy left Democrats absolutely speechless and exposed the rank hypocrisy behind all their sanctimonious preaching about fiscal responsibility.
I want to say, Mr. President, next week, President Trump's going to send us over what's called a rescission bill. What does that mean? Well, we've got a $7 trillion budget, okay? I don't know how much of that $7 trillion is waste, but every fair-minded person would have to agree that there's some money being spent in that $7 trillion that shouldn't be spent. It just shouldn't. It's wasted money. And so President Trump and this Congress made one of its objectives trying to reduce spending. Not spending that we need to reduce, but spending that needs to be reduced. I call it spending porn. And the president has sent us a bill. He's saying to Congress, I want you to reduce spending in the current budget by $9.1 billion. And let me tell you what the spending, what constitutes the spending I want to reduce. Well, first, $9.1 billion out of a $7 trillion budget, we're not talking about a lot of money here. We're talking about 0.1%. That's all. That's point one. Point two, you need to look at what the president's asking us to cut out. I'll just give you a couple of examples. I didn't make this up. The president is saying we're giving $3 million to Iraq to produce Sesame Street. Maybe we could use that money for something else. The president is saying we're giving $3 million to Zambia for circumcisions and vasectomies. The president's saying we don't need to do that. We've got other priorities. We're giving $500,000 to Rwanda to buy electric buses. The president is saying to us, Congress, we don't need to be spending the money on that. There are more important things. We're spending $67,000 to give insect powder to kids in Madagascar. I don't even know what insect powder is, but the president's asking us to cut it out. We're giving $3,600,000 to Haiti for pastry cooking classes, for cyber cafes, for dance focus groups, for male prostitutes. The president's saying, I don't think so. I don't think that the American people support giving their hard-earned money to male prostitutes in Haiti. So he's asking us to cut it out. He's asking us to reduce the budget by $833,000 because some of President Biden's bureaucrats gave a contract to transgender people, sex workers, and their clients in Nepal. The president's saying, I don't want to do that. And he's right. That's enough. You get the idea. That's why I call it spending porn. Triggers your gag reflex. You look at this stuff and you go, what in God's name? Who decided to do this? Well, Congress didn't. The bureaucrats did. It's money we appropriated, but we didn't tell them to go spend money, $833,000, and give to sex workers in Nepal. They just took the money we appropriated and used it for that. And so the president is asking us to do what's called a rescission, to cancel the spending. Now, I have listened, I've been here 8 years, Mr. President, and I've listened to a whole bunch of people talk about the need to reduce spending. But you got to watch what people do, not what they say. Because talk is cheap. And around here, I've learned pretty quickly that reducing spending, it's like going to heaven. I want to go to heaven. I bet you want to go to heaven, Mr. President. I bet our guests in the gallery want to go to heaven. But everybody wants to go to heaven. Raise your hand if you're ready to take the trip today. Most people, you are, sir, and I admire that, but most people want to live a little longer. And that's the way it is with reducing spending around here. I want to reduce spending. I support it, but not just yet, because I've got this project. Well, and I've listened to that. And I've especially listened to it for the past 100 days. Go get them, President Trump. Reduce that spending. We're behind you 1,000%. Well, he has. He has. 0.1% he's asking us to reduce. And I'm not saying senators shouldn't ask questions and make some changes if they need to be made, but here's the bottom line. It is gut check time. It is gut check time. You either believe in reducing spending or you don't. And if you talk the game and say, let's reduce spending, and you vote against this bill, in my opinion, you ought to hide your head in a bag. Because you will be able to cut the hypocrisy with a knife. It's real, real hard, Mr. President, to preach temperance from a bar stool. It's gut check time. We need to pass this bill. I yield the floor, Mr. President.
Picture the scene. The chamber goes dead quiet. Everyone braced for the usual polite Washington dodge. But Kennedy, calm, lethal. That signature Louisiana drawl slicing through the air like a blade. He announces President Trump is dropping the rescission bill, asking to trim just a sliver off that monstrous $7 trillion budget. A measly 0.1%. And that tiny 0.1%. It ripped the veil off everything Washington desperately wants to keep hidden. Waste so outrageous, so embarrassing, nobody dares defend it in public. He didn't shout. He didn't have to. He just laid out the examples, one ridiculous after another, and let the absurdity do the heavy lifting. Pastry classes, insect powder, overseas sex worker funding, while hard-working moms and dads back home are stretched to the breaking point. The contrast, brutal, devastating, unanswerable. Then came the line that hit like a freight train, gut check time. Because slashing $9.1 billion out of $7 trillion isn't some radical overhaul, it's the bare minimum test of whether you actually mean what you say. Do you stand with the American taxpayer, or do you quietly protect the bureaucratic slush fund? Kennedy didn't mince words, didn't hedge, didn't play nice. He tore the mask clean off the Washington con game. Politicians love to thunder about spending cuts, right up until the moment they have to vote on real ones. Then suddenly those wasteful projects turn into sacred cows. This wasn't about party loyalty. This wasn't about racking up cheap political points. Kennedy made it crystal clear. This is about common sense, fairness, basic accountability. If you talk a big game about fiscal responsibility but rush to shield these absurd expenses, you're not the solution, you're the problem. In the end, he left everyone with the truth that actually matters. Real leadership isn't smooth talk or safe votes. Real leadership is courage. Courage to say no. Courage to make the hard call. Courage to look the American people in the eye and admit we've been wasting your hard-earned money for way too long. That wasn't just a speech. That was a takedown. And that's why it still burns bright. If you're done with the endless Washington excuses and want more raw, no filter breakdowns like this, smash that like button, drop in the comments, did Kennedy just voice what half the country has been screaming inside? And hit subscribe so you don't miss what's next. We're locked in. Catch you in the next one.